Hey everybody, welcome back. Devin, the OG, original Grognard, continuing our playthrough of Avalon Hill's classic card-driven system, Up Front. I'm actually kind of surprised. I don't think I actually have any rules mistakes I did last video to go over this time. I usually have at least one or two or multiple rule mistakes that I made that I discover in post-production that I did. Really the only thing I have to go over from the last one is I may have been confusing some people with some of my terminology. I, for whatever reason, will use firepower and fire strength and range bands and relative range interchangeably with each other sometimes, and I really shouldn't. Basically, take a look at a fire card. This is the firepower, this is the fire strength, and the firepower is generated from the personnel cards. The problem is, in my mind, I don't see this as firepower and fire strength. In my mind, I see this as, this is the number I need to get with my personnel, and that's how much damage I'm going to do. Why my mind doesn't process it as firepower and fire strength, I have no idea. It's just the way it is. And the same thing with range bands and relative ranges. Range band is what the group is currently at. And even if we take a look at our handy dandy little chart, the range band is whatever range band they're at. Relative range is the distance between two groups. I don't know why I interchanged the two of them. I will definitely try to tighten things up a little bit and not confuse new players. It's like, why is he calling both those numbers firepower? Well, it's because I'm an idiot. That's why. So, anyways, we're stepping into the German turn. And alright, so what have we got? We've got cards to play. What have we got? We got a brush, but unfortunately none of our groups are under a movement card right now, so that doesn't do anything. A hill, good as well. Concealed, okay. A rally. Okay, this is actually what we're going to be looking at because we got 3 pin German dudes. So let's go ahead and take a look at this Rally 3 card. And since it is a split card, as I kind of explained last time, it's for the Soviets, it's a Conceal Neg-2, which is actually really good for the Soviets, but for the US and for the Germans, it's a Rally 3 card. So basically, looking over everything I've got, I don't have anybody under a movement card, so no need to get them into terrain. I got no fire cards, and I got no movement cards. So basically, this Rally is the only card I'm going to be playing. Play Rally 3. And it rallies these 3 guys. Pretty simple. And that's all Rally is. That card gets discarded. Now, since that's basically the only thing I can do, I'm going to take a look at my hand. And I actually like what I've got. I can seal a couple terrain cards and a Rally card. So we're going to keep those. We're not going to discard any. And we are going to draw. What do we draw? Hey, we got a movement card. Excellent. Now, flip back over to the Soviets. Yeah, we got a Rally 5. That's a nice one. We got a Gully, a movement, and a hero card. You know what? I wasn't going to do lateral transfers because technically they're not part of the programmed instruction for this scenario. But really, you can play the scenario with the full rules. So what I'm going to do, just as an example of how lateral transfers work, and personnel transfers. If you remember, we've got these 2 Soviet groups here that are right next to each other, and they're both at range band 1. They could do and since this group got decimated, we're going to want to transfer this guy over to Group C. And how do you do that? Well, first of all, he's got to be unpinned. So I'm not going to burn a Rally 5 on him, but I am going to burn a hero card because I got no fire cards right now. So we're going to play a hero card on that group, which is Rally 1 anytime. So he rallies. And we got a Gully card. We like Gully cards. Couple things I could do with A group. B group isn't going to do anything. They've got the support machine. They've got the DP-28. They got the machine gun. They're on top of the hill. They're in a good position. They're just going to sit up there and lay down suppressing fire and support fire. And we've decided that Group A is going to be the group that's going to be the advancing group. So, okay. I can either play another movement card to push Group A a little bit forward, or I can jump them into the gully. But you know what? The Germans didn't fire at us last turn when they had the opportunity to, so I'm thinking they probably don't have any fire cards. This is me, trying to avoid the meta. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play another movement card on Group A, which is going to put them at range band 2. See what I did there? I remember to call it the right range band. And go ahead and shift our token, range band 2. Now 5, 4, 3, 2. Now we're relative range 2 of Group A's. And it's kind of a risky move because for every movement card you play, it gets a +1 fire strength against them if they're fired at. But the Germans didn't fire at us last turn, and they only pulled 1 card, so we're hoping they don't have a movement card or a fire card. It's a gamble. That's one of the things I like about this game. There's some fog of war. There's some risks and some gambles you have to take every once in a while. Obviously more prevalent in face-to-face play. In solo play, I gotta do what I can. So, we played at least 1 action with the Soviets, so we can't discard anything. We got 2 cards, so let's go ahead and draw 2. We got a fire card, and, this is a split card. Normally, it's a smoke card for the U.S., but it's a movement card for the Soviets and the Germans. Okay, that's kind of good. We like having movement cards. So that's going to be it for the Soviets. We're going to flip back over to the Germans. And let's see, what have the Germans got? We got a movement rally. Okay, we got a movement card. Now, what do we want to do with this movement card? Are we going to move Group A or Group B? We got Group A, Group B. Okay, I think we need to move Group A. Mainly because we're seeing a very large group of Soviets moving towards us. And remember, if the Soviets get to range band 4 to them and can get into terrain, they're going to win the game if they get 4 personnel. So we're going to have to move Group A forward a little bit just to get into what would be the Soviet range band 4. So we're going to go ahead and play movement card 1. Increase their range band. Increase the range band. Now the 2 groups, 5, 4, 3. Now they're at relative range 3, and the Soviets are breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief because they didn't get shot at while being under 2 movement cards. This also lets the Soviets know that the Germans probably aren't going to be shooting at them next turn because it's going to be half firepower for being under a movement card. That's a good bit of information to know. Of course, this group could always fire at them. So, anyways, let's see. And are there any other cards we want to play? We got a concealment, 2 terrain cards. We got the rally 1. You know what? Let's go ahead and get rid of the brush, just because I want to cycle through some cards. Let's go ahead and discard the brush. Germans can do that. As long as they can discard 1 card, even if they did an action. So they get to fill their hand with 2 cards. We had another movement. Ooh, big fire card. Although, I really don't think we're going to be generating that much firepower anytime soon. I should probably point out that the furious amount of firepower that we saw at the beginning of the game is an anomaly. Of all the action deck cards, only about 25% of them are actual fire cards. The rest of them are terrain movement, all the other good cards in the game. So the amount of... and of course, all the fire cards range in strength from firepower from 2 to 18. So getting as many cards, low-level cards that I was able to get off early in the game at the long ranges, you don't see that happen a lot of times. So I will just mention that for posterity's sake. All right, what do we got? Back over to the Soviets. Okay, we got a movement card, we got a fire card, we got a rally 5. Okay, so what we're going to do is the Soviets know that the Germans just pulled a couple cards. And whereas this group probably isn't going to be shooting at them, this group probably could. So we could play another movement card on the Soviet Group A, but you know what? We're going to jump into the gully. We're going to go ahead, jump into the gully, and get rid of those 2 movement cards. Now, gullies are really, really, really cool. You always want to be in a gully as much as you can be, because a gully cannot attack or be attacked except by a sniper, mortar, a group on a hill, close combat, or you're at relative range 5. So basically, these guys are not at relative range 5 yet. They're at 3. So basically, they can't shoot it. These guys cannot shoot or be shot at by anybody except for this group on the hill. Now, granted, we've got the MG42 and MG34 here, but since they're not an adjacent group, since they're 2 groups over, they're 1 range band further. So there would technically be at range band 1, 5, 4, 3, 2. So, you know, it would be range band 2, which would be a strength 6. You know, they could generate a little bit of firepower. But the gully is also a -2 if they're being shot at by someone on a hill. So it's a good defensive position. It's a good position. This will allow the Soviets to sneak up even closer to the Germans, which is good because the closer the Soviets are, they're going to be able to generate more fire than the Germans are going to be able to, because you've got the squad leader with the semi-automatic Tokarov, and then, of course, you know, the Soviet peons with Mazan Nagats against 2 Germans with Kar 98s and MP38. At very close range, the Soviets are going to come out on top on that firefight. So this is good. This is going to help them get in closer. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do an example for a individual transfer. And the only way you can do an individual transfer is if the group that is the soldier is moving from, or the group that the soldier is moving to has a squad leader in it, a leader basically, and this guy is the assistant squad leader. So we can do the transfer from group C to group B because we do have a leader in group B. Basically, you discard a movement card like that, and you take this really cool transfer. Oh, that's the other thing. They have to be at the same range band. And as we can see, B and C are at the same range band. They are at range band 1, so we got that covered. So go ahead and place this transfer marker on him. Now, indicates that he is going to be transferring groups. The problem with this is that now this group and this group are both +2 fire strength if they're fired at. Why? I don't know. It's just, it's not like these guys are exposed. I could understand the individual making the transfer being the +2 strength, but I don't understand why the unit or the position being transferred to is also under the +2 strength. It's not like these guys are moving any. They're just waiting for this guy to run over. But, you know, that's the way it is. That's what the rules are. So we're going to have to live with that. And since that was a movement card that was just discarded, it doesn't change range bands any. It's just we're marking him with a transfer. Now, what does that mean? Well, other than the +2 fire strength if they're shot at, next turn as the sole action for this group, we can shift him over and get rid of that transfer marker. So hopefully we can get him over, and the Soviets are hoping that the Germans don't have any fire cards, because a +2 fire strength sucks to have to suffer through it. So anyways, we got 2 cards. We can't discard any. We pull 2 cards, which we got us another movement and a fire 3. We need a firepower 8. That'll be good when Group A starts getting in a little bit closer. Let's see, we need... Okay, so we have the Germans. Okay. Fire 18 is not going to be coming in handy anytime soon. Although we do have... Group A is under a movement card currently, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to throw down the hill card, get rid of the movement card. Now these guys are on the hill. Now, This actually sucks for the Soviets because now the Germans are on a hill and can fire down into the gully without being at relative range 5, even though they're just relative range 3 right now. Yeah, they probably should try to move at least another range band forward, but we're going to sit right here and hopefully try to gun those Soviets down. Excuse me. So what else do we got? We got a movement. We got a rally one to conceal. You know what? I don't have any terrain cards. And I really don't want to move anybody without having terrain cards. So we're not going to play any more cards. We are going to discard. We're going to discard this because I don't think I'm going to be generating 18 firepower anytime soon. I draw 2 cards. Woods. Hey, we like woods. And a hero card. Nice. And the Soviets breathe a sigh of relief as they did not get shot at with the transfer card. So as this group's only action, they're going to go ahead and discard that transfer card by shifting Sergeant, or is that Private Uhaloft? I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. So that's that group's only action. So the only group left that can do anything is these guys. Now, conversely, units in a gully can't shoot at anybody unless it's someone on a hill. And this is actually odd. We've got 3 hills out right now, and I think there's only like 4 or 5 hill cards in the deck. So we've got a majority of the hill cards out. Let's see. So we're relative range 3. How much firepower can we generate? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, ooh, they can actually generate 10. Ooh, that's actually pretty cool. They can generate 10 firepower. So they can play both of these. And you know what? They are going to play both of those to generate the 10 firepower. Let's make sure, just to make sure I'm reading that right. Relative range 3, firepower 2, yep, 2, 4, 6, 8. And the Tokarev semi-automatic is also another 2 more for 10. So, all right, so they've got 10 firepower that they can generate. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it is going to be fire strength of 4. The Germans are going to play a concealment. You can only play 1 concealment. Regardless of how many concealment cards you may have in your hand, you can only play 1 on a group when it's shot at. Alright, so we got 4, 3 for the concealment, and 2 because they're on the hill. So it's going to be a grand total of fire strength of 2 that's shooting at them. So now, we just draw our cards. Alright, 2 minus 5 is a neg 3, which I don't think is going to affect anything at all. 2 plus 1 is a 3. And Private Beck only has a morale of 1. So that's going to pin him. And 2 plus 0 is 2. Private Bernhoff has got a morale of 5, so he's good. So one guy ended up getting pinned. So it could have been better, could have been worse. If the Germans hadn't played that concealment card, could have been a lot worse. So then those get discarded. And that's really basically all they got. They did 2 actions with both of their groups. One group fired and one group did the transfer. So they can't discard anything, so they've got 2 cards in their hand. They draw 2. What are the Soviets? Ooh, a Wallen, well, it's a cower card. It's a split card for the Soviets, but it's a smoke card. It's a cower card. As far as I know, there's not a single card in this game that give the Soviets smoke. They just don't have it. Alright, so let's flip back over to the Germans. Yeah, you know what? The Germans are going to go ahead and play the Rally 1 to rally Private Beck. So he's going to come back just fine. Now what have we got? we got a woods card, a movement card. You know what? Let's go ahead and start advancing. If that was the best that the Soviets could muster, they probably don't have any fire cards, although they got 2 cards last draw. They might have filled up a little bit, but I think we're going to go ahead and play a move card on Group B and get them a little bit further forward. Make sure we shift. I went ahead and took the Group C range marker off because Group C doesn't exist anymore because it transferred over into Group B. That's all set with that. And those guys, you know what? These guys could actually probably start moving forward and try to occupy range band 4. But you need 4 characters. But these guys, regardless, can still start moving forward a little bit. However, I got no movement cards, and I got no fire cards. I got nobody to rally, so that's pretty much it. I don't want to discard either one of these, so refill my hand to 5. And what do we end up with? Brush, movement, concealed. All right. Probably will end up discarding the... Maybe end up discarding the brush. All right. So back over to the Soviets. All right. So we don't have any fire cards. And the Germans are on the hill, so it makes no sense really to stay in that gully much longer. But we do want to start advancing. So let's go ahead and move these guys one more range band forward. Again, if it comes down to a shootout, the Soviets have got more firepower. It just depends on, if they get the fire cards or not. And that's pretty much it. They don't have any fire cards. The rally 5 on the wall is not doing them anything. Can't discard anything. So they go ahead and draw back up. Ooh, that 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. They get to relative range 5. The Soviets in Group A could actually play that card. I think the Soviets are going to hold on to that one. All right, back over to the Germans. The Germans got a fire card. Germans do not have a fire card. And you're going to see this happen a lot of times. There'll be small flurries of action and then, 15, 20 turns where no one can get a fire card that they can use. So yeah, just be prepared for bursts of activity followed by long bursts of nothingness. However, let's see, do we want to move? They're on a hill. I don't think we want to move them. These guys are moving, let's go ahead and jump these guys into the woods. Those guys will go into the woods. You know what? We're going to play a movement card on these guys here. There we go. And as a discard, I don't think we want to discard. We want to keep the terrain card because we've got one guy out there already moving. So as you've noticed, you kind of only want to do short bursts of movement. You don't want to get caught hanging with your dick out under 3 or 4 movement cards. So you usually don't want to commit yourself to a move unless you've got a terrain card to back it up. And granted, you could always, just discard something for an open ground, but, it's better to have a terrain card. All right. Oh, more concealment cards. Let's see. We got, but it's a cower card. Split card, cower card for the Germans in the U.S. So, annoying. So that'll get discarded. All right. Back to the Soviets. All right. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is I could... Yeah, let's go ahead and do it now. Let's move these guys into the wall. There's no use staying in the gully for right now because, there are, opposing German groups that are on hills to negate the special ability. So let's just go ahead and jump behind a wall. And that's pretty much all we can do. So draw a card, fire. Oh, that's something. We can use that to soften up the Germans before we start rushing at them. back to the Germans. Alright, well, I hate pulling myself off the hill, but let's go ahead and play the brush card on them. And I think just because I can, we'll go ahead and discard the cower card because it doesn't do anything for us. So, and we get another cower card and a fire. Oh, that's good. It's great because you only need one firepower, but it's one fire strength one. Great. Let's see. Back to the Soviets. Now the Soviets are in good position to start kind of doing some preparatory fire. Although their big 15 they can't do yet. The Fire 8. You know, I think Group B is going to fire at German Group C because they do see that MG. Whoops, I forgot to take that off. They do see this group starting to move up. And they don't want that MG-34 on their flank. So let's see if we can generate the firepower. They're at range band 1, range band 2, 5, 4, 3. Relative range 3, we can generate 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Ooh, that is actually... Okay, don't have enough to play that. But we do have enough to play that. So we're going to go ahead and play the Fire 2. Or the Firepower 8, Fire Strength 2 card. You know what? The Germans are going to be dicks. They're going to go, ha ha ha, screw you. We're going to play the Concealed 2. Alright, so that basically reduces the Fire Strength from 2 to 0. It doesn't matter. You still keep counting it out. And then a further -1 Fire Strength for the brush, which makes it a -1. That's okay. It doesn't matter if the adjusted Fire Strength goes negative. You still draw cards for it. It just means if they're negative, you're going to have less of a chance of doing anything to them. So, we got Private Schultz, Private Schumacher, and Private Schussel at a -1. -1 plus 0 or -0 is a -1. You'll notice, even if it's a 0, I still have trained myself for red is minus, negative, black is positive, plus. So even if it's just a 0, even when I'm playing against an opponent, I will say it out, -1 minus 0 because it's a red card. Alright, next one, -1 plus 1 is a 0, which isn't going to do anything, and -1 minus 2 is a -3, which isn't going to do anything. Alright. Adjust my cards a little bit. Like I said, since these are relatively new sleeves that I put on them a couple years back, they haven't gotten roughed up a little bit, so I like to slide all over the place. Alright, so we can't discard anything. So let's go ahead and draw. Ooh, wire card. Wire card is something you want to throw on your opponent. That's a handy card. That's a handy card to have. So, back over to the Germans. They really don't have... You know, they got the fire... You know what? Let's go ahead and do the Fire 1. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and have these guys do it. They're at 5, 4, 3, 2. Relative range 2. You can generate 3 firepower with that. So that's enough to be able to play the card. So it's going to be Fire Strength 1, -1 for the opponent being on a hill. Have the Soviets got a concealed card? Soviets do not have a concealed card. So it's going to be a 0. And let's see what happens. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 4 is -4. 0 plus 1 is 1, and his morale is a 5. You remember, you always go sequential order left, right. If my table was bigger and I had the space to spread them all out, I'd be able to do it left to right. But you know, basically top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom. 0 plus 2 is 2. His morale is a 2. Uh-oh, I managed to pin him. And 0 minus 1 is -1. which is not going to be it. Now, as far as I know, I have never seen anybody with a 0 morale. 1 is the lowest morale I've seen. You'll see those with Soviets, few Italians. So that's why if it's a 0 or less, I don't even bother looking at their pin number, because I know there are no infantry, there are no personnel out there who's got a morale of 0. I may check if I, like I said, if I do something, a group that I haven't played in a really long time, like the French or the Italians, I may check them. But even still, I don't think there's any personality cards out there that have a morale of 0. So that's why I usually don't worry. And honestly, also by the same token, most of the KIAs you're going to be looking at, in fact, all the KIAs you're going to be looking at is an 8. That's why I never really bother. We're hitting the 25-minute mark. I'll be right back. That's why I never really bother if I only worry about the low numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that's really where the pin numbers come into play. If it gets to an 8, I know an 8 is a KIA. So you see that happen sometimes, but not often. I think we've seen it happen once already. Because, Private Vakuta, he was, if you remember, he was pinned, and then I actually managed to get a 9 or better on a KIA on him earlier in the game in Fire Group C. So yeah, that's the Germans. And the Germans can discard even if they played in action, so they're going to go ahead and junk this card because it's just a coward card for them. And draw back up to 2. Concealment card and a 2. Okay, that's nice. Again, still no fire cards. Soviets. What are the Soviets going to do? Dmitry, go get some vodka. All right. Now I need some movement cards, because I'd love to play this 15 card. We're at what? Relative range 4. I don't think I can generate. No, I can't. At relative range 4, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I can't quite generate the firepower yet. So the Soviets aren't going to do anything, and because of that, they can discard as many cards as they want, but they only want to discard 1. They want to get rid of that smoke card. And what do they get? They get a rally 1. Actually helpful. I could have played this rally 5 on to get 1 guy, but I'm not planning on moving them anytime soon, and I don't want to waste a rally 5 just to get 1 guy. Back to the Germans. No movement cards, no shooting cards. Boy, we got a lot of options. Well, I guess we're not doing anything. So we're just gonna, are we gonna discard anything? Do we want to get rid of, you know what, we've already got 1 concealed neg 2, so let's go ahead and get rid of this conceal 1, just because we want to cycle through cards. And pull 2 more cards. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now we've got some firepower cards. Now the Soviets are going to be in trouble. So, what are the Soviets going to do now? Well, I think one of the first things they want to do is play the rally 1 to get Private Nosenko. Get him back into action. And what's Group A going to do? Group A really wants to move forward, because they really can't. At the Rally 5, a wire card, which I can really only play when an enemy group is moving, and, the Firepower 15 card. Can't really do anything. Can't discard anything. Draw a card. And like I said, ooh, there we go. There's a movement card. You're going to see this a lot of times. There'll be long stretches and long draws where neither side is doing anything because they just don't have the cards. But now we got the Germans, and you know what? We're going to go ahead and cut it right here on the cusp of what could be a very, very devastating and huge fire groups being thrown together. And we're going to go ahead and cut it here, and I'll leave you all in breathless suspense for next episode. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section, and I will see everybody next time. See ya!